Does the iron shaft of a golf club make a difference? Stay tuned and we will find out together. Welcome back to mcgolfshop. Jim McCleary, most awarded certified club maker, club fitter, where we talk about club reviews, club repairs, club fittings. If you would like, subscribe, swing, and hit that bell, and that way you get more of these videos when they drop. All right, the iron shaft, not necessarily an iron as in steel, but an iron, a shaft that goes into an iron, right? Whether it be graphite or steel, does it make a difference? You're going to be told somewhere along the lines that the shaft is the engine of the golf club. Wrong, right? The shaft is not the engine, it is the transmission. You are the one that supplies the power. You are the one that gives it the speed. You are the power plant that makes that ball go where it does. Now, that being said, you know, there are different transmissions out there. You have 4-speed transmission, automatic transmissions, different 3-speed, 4-speed, 5-speed, 6-speed, going all the way up to 8-speed. And they all provide a different purpose for the way your driving habits, the kind of vehicle that you're in. And the same thing could be said about a golfer, right? You see guys that are extraordinarily violent in their swing, right? You see guys that are just the opposite end. It's just Tai Chi on golf. Just a smooth, effortless swing. All right, and so as we already know, as we get more educated in this, that it doesn't, you know, the same shaft won't apply. All right, so how do we know how to do that? Well, there's a lot of parameters that go into the shaft that a fitter's got to use. There is profile, there is weight, there is flex, whether and the material that it's made up are just to name some of the few. Depending on what kind of head you're going to use, the tip size, right? How did I come up with this topic? Well, I'm expanding my iron shaft selections during my fitting process. And I thought, well, let's take a look, right? And I have KBS TGIs in different weights, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 95, right? And all of these have slightly different profiles, slightly different weights, slightly different flexes. And we're going to see how they work, all right? So what did I do? I hit 10 golf balls a piece. I went through a round of 5 on the first one and then another round of 5 on the second one, just so if I hit a groove, I didn't, you know, I didn't like one better than the other. So 5 apiece, 5 apiece. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the flight scope, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at them, and then we're going to, you know, maybe take out the best one and the worst one to get a better, you know, overall concept. Because if you have this one that's just way out there or one that's way short, those are outliers. Now, from a fitting process, it can tell you if there's a lot of those, then you know obviously that's not the one for you. But if there's just a couple, then you want to get a good aggregate score. So that's what we're going to go do next. So let's go take a look. Welcome to the information provided by Flight Scope. What we're going to take a look at first here is the flight patterns. This is what I show to most of the guys that go through a fitting, and it shows how I'm hitting each one of the shafts. We started from the 60, went to the 70, we'll go through the 80, we'll also see the 90, and then we'll see the 95. And as you can see that we're working through there, as we use from the lighter weight to the heavier weight, the ball pattern landing, as you take a look at the black lines, are getting a little more narrower as the weight gets up and the flex gets a little bit more stiff. Now what it is showing us is that the shaft is starting to marry up to my particular swing makeup. Now what you're seeing here is the landing pattern of all of the shafts, starting with the blue being the lightest, and you see how it's a nice oval pattern. That's not what we're looking for. And then we get to the next highest shaft, and we even had one outside the oval. It was that bad. And then the 80 gram shaft is right there. And then we get into the two that you see are significantly different. They change shape, so you know something's happening. And that's the 90 and the 95. The 95 being the most circular and the better for the 10. What you're showing here is the numbers that we got. We went from 167 to 182 in carry and 180 in total distance, 197 for the top end. So that's significant differences, right? And with only being about a mile per hour difference between all of the shafts, where it really comes into play is the quality of the hit. You see at the bottom it's a 1.23 to where the top is a 1.30. Not very, outstanding shots, but the difference is important here, where I am seeing a 0.07 difference. And what I tell most of my people is that a 0.06 and above is how come that thing's not in the bag. Now another one I like showing the fitters or the golfers going through the fitters is the way that the person swung through the path. And typically what you can find is that these patterns will tighten up and get bigger based on what they see, based on what they like. And then one of the far more important graphs that FlightScope provides, the acceleration profiles. You can see how they get a little squirrelier as they get lighter. Now what I'm showing you here is that I'm taking out the worst and the best of it in order to come up with a new number, where we go from 171 to 182, and we get another 14. And look at our patterns, they tightened up quite a bit as well. And that's the important part right there, right? We took out to give us more of a better look. And now what I'm taking you through is what did it really change from the last time? And we're going from a profile to a swing pattern, from a swing pattern to a profile in order to get through there. And it's going to show us basically about the same thing. That I wasn't a real fan of the 70 and 80. The 60 was okay, but I was a little loose with that and very, very short, so we really don't care for that. And the 90 and the 95 were really where it needed to be. And that's what we're looking for, the 90 and 95. Better quality of hit, better, tighter pattern, better results, so we know we're going to do that. So now, as a little bonus factor, I'm going to show you a few of the swings that I took while I was doing the video. Let's take a look. We use the KBS Tour graphite iron shafts from the 60 to the 95 gram. And what we saw overall was an 11-yard carry distance difference, a 14-yard total difference, and a 0.05 smash factor change. That's a pretty big number, all right? At 0.06, I'm like, how come that's not in the bag? So this became an almost how come it's not in the bag. Now, I didn't compare it against my gamer, but I tell you what, that 95 hit really, really well. Now, if we recall that these have the KBS Tour profiles, as the weight goes from lightest to heaviest, It goes from the lower flex to the higher flex. So that's what that's giving you. So now from a fitting perspective, what did we accomplish? Well, you know, typically when I'm doing mine, to do 5 different shafts of the same one just to hunt one down, because you're going to come in here and say, oh yeah, I want to test all these shafts. Well, your partner, you're missing out on the biggest part of it, as testing the whole club instead of just that portion of it. Trust your fitter. Let them narrow down their selection. They're viewing your swing profile in order to put you into a better shaft, right? A better shaft. So if you're swinging at 100 mile an hour, it doesn't do any really good to swing a 60 or a 70 gram shaft, now does it? Now maybe another shaft of another manufacturer might be required. However, in this particular instance, what we did is we hunted down, and for me, the 95 gram in the middle of the stiff range was working very, very well. Like between that and the 90, either one, right? So that's the reason why you do these fittings. You check out those shafts and make sure that it fits your swing profile. That's what fitters are doing for you. So tell me what you like about different shafts. Put it down there in the show notes. Now keep in mind, this was just for 1 or 2 parameters. It's based on distances. And we did see some control aspect in it, right? Some, as they got lighter, as it got lighter, it was kind of wider, and as it got heavier, it started getting narrower. All right? So I'm just trying to get across the point that there's a lot that goes into it other than you hit it, yeah, the ball goes far, yeah, this is the one for you. No. All right? We take into account quality of your hit. We take into account the spin rate that you're producing with that particular shaft. We take in, of course, the carry and the total distances. We look at how you're coming into the ball, right? Your downward, your angle of attack on the ball to help us with finding the other parameters. And overall, do you like the feel of it? So there's a lot going on when somebody's doing this fitting. And that's what we try to do for you, all right? So, again, in this house, the TGI 95 is going to be looking, maybe I might find some into another set of clubs for me. And yes, the shaft does work. No, it's not the engine. Yes, it's the transmission. Let me know what you think. And as always, let's see your scores go low.